कि यार boards के लिए तो पढ़ाई आप करो ही करो, and I'm sure her results do that for her. But you all the same side, you also have to worry about the fact that nahi bhi aaye to you should have a plan B and plan C. Like Yashna, she had a law course in hand and a management course in hand, right? And though she had brilliant marks and her dream college SRCC was unfortunately not happening, she never lost hope and she got two of India's best colleges in hand, right? No doubt SRCC is great, but so is NLSIU Bangalore and so is Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies. She had the best two colleges in hand, right? चलो अब हम बात करते हैं आपके 5 साल की लॉ में जो आपने बैंगलोर में बिताए. So how was it like going away from home firstly? कितना रोई मम्मी और फैमिली को मिस करके?
Honestly, NLS gives you a very busy life, so you don't have a lot of time to think back, and first few months is a big transition and it does take time to get used to, but eventually you get very used to it, and then living back at home becomes difficult.
You don't have time to think.
Yeah, you don't have time to think.
So what was a typical day at NLS?
So I actually did a lot of extracurriculars from the very beginning. So for me, so we had classes from 8:50 to 1 o'clock. After that, we'd have a quick lunch. And since I was mooting pretty much throughout my college career, I would then prepare for the moot or the ADR competitions. ADR is alternate dispute resolution. That's negotiation, mediation, and client counseling. So I would work on that. I was also on a lot of committees. And I also headed 3 of them during my college career. So I had a lot on my plate, and वो जो भी थोड़ा बहुत time बचता था उसमें पढ़ाई भी कर लेते थे college की.
So a lot of questions that generally come is typically Yashna, आपका batch का profile क्या था? How many people from science? How many from commerce? You were a commerce with math student. How many from commerce and how many from humanities?
So I'd say most people were from humanities, about 60%. Then the next proportion would be commerce and very few from science. In fact, most people who were in my batch had dropped a year or had gone to another college for a year and then wrote CLAT again and got through to NLS. So in fact, there was
that's
one
a trend. Yeah, so that's a trend.
that is a trend. There was in fact a person in one batch junior to me who had studied at the management institute for 2 years and then dropped out and come to NLS.
If I remember correctly, we had a student by the name of Aditya Gambhir. Your batch? I don't know. I think your batch or the batch after you. He got through NLU Delhi and Sukhdev. So the first year he went to Sukhdev and the next year he went to NLU Delhi. He didn't like the building.
I'm sure you would have really felt very hurt.
No, so he went to Sukhdev for a year, right? So it's not that I felt bad. But yeah, that time the building was in really bad shape. Now it's like best campus on in Delhi University. That's what Shahid Sukhdev is right now. Fully air conditioned and all of that. Full jing bang there. They've made the kasar for the last 30 years of giving us a dilapidated building. Right? Coming back to it. So you are saying that a lot of kids that you had in your batch were essentially from humanities background. That's very interesting because actually हमने ना एक RTI डाली थी, right? So our law team actually put an RTI to figure out what was the breakup of the top 5 NLUs, right? And what came back, and when we analyzed it, that 45% of them were science students. May not be true for Bangalore, but it may be true for other law colleges which are next in line. But 45% of them were from science, which was staggering. And कहीं नहीं छोड़ा यार commerce वालों को. Right, so you think humanities as a subject actually helped kids crack law?
To crack the exam, no. But since we had a BA LLB honors, so for the first 2 years we have a lot of arts courses as well. So for people who don't have any humanities education, it takes you obviously slightly more time to grasp the basics. But I don't think it makes a substantial difference. The only key subject which a lot of people faced difficulties in college was eco, because we actually study a lot of high-level eco. So if you don't have your 11th and 12th eco in place, understanding that becomes very problematic.
So for that you can thank Naini ma'am.
Yeah, no, Naini ma'am I took coaching from accounts. And of course, she's always been like a guide and mentor to me in
Yeah.
school. But eco I studied only from my school teacher, Priya ma'am, who is also
Right. So
a
Sardar, how important a role did Sardar Patel play in helping you clear CLAT? By the way, you actually send that link to your teachers as well.
Great. I mean, SPV has always had very, very wonderful teachers, and it gives you such a great environment. The where teachers are always supportive, and they're always encouraging you to do everything that you can. And I'm not sure if that is replicated in other schools, but SPV in that sense really builds a sense of community, a sense of um, you know. A familiarity with between the teachers and the students, and it's not very formal. They're very hands-on, very paternal in that sense.
I love this about Sardar Patel.
Yeah, it's
Right?
such
I love it. Whenever I go there and for a session, first time I actually went to Sardar Patel, I was on the mic in your audiovisual room, and I said good morning, and I did not hear anything back. Right, I heard this, so I was under the impression they don't like me at all, right? And they're doing this, and Niklo, kaun aa gaya? My confidence had just dropped. I said, I can't be that bad, which is good morning, right?
No, in fact, when I went to NLS also, and a few of my seniors got to know that I'm from SPV, the only thing that they knew about SPV is this.
Yeah.
So this seems to be a very, very well-known trademark of ours.
All right. So all those of you who are on Zoom as well as on Facebook and YouTube, if you have any questions, please share it with us. I'll be more than happy to ask Yashna all those questions so that you have a first-hand answer as well, right? Yashna, you ready? So quickly, I'll ask a couple of questions. There is Shrishti Gupta asks you, how did you prepare for law and management at the same time?
So, at least during my time, there was only one subject that was different. So, in law, we had legal reasoning, and in management entrances, we had business awareness. All the other subjects were the same. So, it's actually not too hard to prepare for many streams because I mean, the core, which is verbal reasoning, logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude, all of those and GK, they all remain the same. So, there's only one subject extra, even if you do, I think, hotel management or management or law. So it's actually not that hard, and don't feel overwhelmed by the volume of the subject. It's actually doable. You just have to work hard.
Yeah, so that's what we keep telling kids also. Yeah, दोनों पढ़ लो, because a lot of parents come back, इतना pressure, दो subject कैसे? मैंने कहा 80% तो वैसे ही same है.
Exactly.
20% ही अलग है, but yeah, the legal part isn't. Now I don't know if you are aware, but the CLAT pattern has considerably changed.
No, I haven't been keeping track.
You're not keeping track? Oh God. It has completely changed, Yashna. There are no legal reasoning questions, no fact and principle questions anymore.
Okay.
Everything is comprehension based. Your math is comprehension based, so you get caselets, you'll have to interpret. Logical reasoning is like that, GK is like that, English to वैसे ही थी, right? And even your legal reasoning section has full half a page paragraph and then 3 or 4 questions based on stuff. So you have to know the legal principles, but that you already you've been taught in class, but there's no fact and principle concept. Right? So this is going to be the first year where they're going to throw it out open for everyone. And yes, you know what the situation is out. It has been delayed beyond
comprehension.
Yeah, it's right now on 22nd August. 22nd August. This is like unbelievable. And ये भी अभी पक्का नहीं है कि उस time पे होगा. Right?
But it's of course a big.
It was supposed to be an offline paper. It's gone back to being online thanks to COVID. And
But I mean, so for anyone who's thinking that it's going to be a lot of pressure, I just want to tell you that at the end of the day, these exams, they are a bit, of course, there's a preparation has a huge role to play, but whether you will be in the top 50 or whether you will be in the top 500 is a matter of 2 or 3 marks. Absolutely. And that really depends on how your luck is perhaps on that day and how actively you're thinking that day. If you've not slept the night before in stress, you perhaps may lose out on those 2 marks and fall from, say, top 50 to top 500. So it's a really good idea to keep your options open. And I wrote only a couple of entrances, and I was fortunate enough to get through. But it's important to have more options, because you don't want to be in a situation where those 2 days you weren't perhaps at your best, and then that impacts your career as a whole.
So you want to change your career from being a lawyer to being a counselor, Yashna? We'll invite you with open arms to Pratham.
I'm happy to lend my services whenever you require, but I'm happy being a lawyer.
Yashna, you should actually come down to the Kailash Colony Center. You will see a completely different look of the center now.
Anytime. I actually haven't been there in almost 2 years now.
Yeah, galat baat hai. So there's a question by Arya Kulukul Sheshta. Which field of law have you specialized in?
So I actually do commercial litigation and arbitration. So we basically in law have two fields. In India, you don't have a specialization in your undergraduation. When you start working, you either usually become a transactional or a corporate lawyer, or you become a dispute resolution lawyer. I'll explain how that works. So when you're entering into a transaction, or say when you want to buy a house, you want to buy a company, that is when you would go to a transactional lawyer, because they would do the drafting, the paperwork for when the deal is going through, right? A deal to aapki ho gayi, you wait for a couple of years, then a dispute is bound to arise. So that's where the dispute resolution lawyers come in. So I do dispute resolution, and I mostly do commercial litigation.
That would come very, very naturally to you.
Thank you.
The person that I know of, Yashna, that dispute resolution would definitely come naturally to you. I can
You need to know how to be a good cop and a bad cop at the same time.
Absolutely, and you could do it with a lance, right? Okay, so Manav asks, Didi, tips for Sukhdev preparation as a student.
So for Sukhdev, I gave it 8 years ago, but at least back then, higher maths was very, very important and was very tough. Yeah, and data interpretation was in fact something we used to absolutely dread. And thankfully, hamare year mein wo aaya nahi, but we'd of course prepared a lot for it. So I would say that, of course, it's really important to study all of your subjects, but based on what you want to focus on. If management is your preferred area of the career that you want to pursue, then of course spend a little more time on the thing that's most important for that exam. So higher maths, I would say, is very important. In terms of preparation, practice. There's really no other way.
I had a session with the kids last week, and I said, maths mein, if you ask me maths mein improve kaise karna hai, practice. English, practice. Logical reasoning, practice. Plain and simple, right? Another question, Kunal Khurana asks, how to build your confidence and make a bold impression?
So that's actually a very pervasive question. It applies to every single field, no matter what you're doing in life. And for that, it's really important to believe that you as an individual are a valuable person. It doesn't matter aapke kitne marks aaye, aap kya karte ho, aap kitne paise kamate ho, it doesn't matter. What you need to understand is that you as a human being are valuable. And the second that you start acknowledging that is when you start building the confidence in yourself.
Brilliant answer. Thank you, NLS IU Bangalore. You prepared very well.
These are things that we, after you write the Sukhdev written entrance and you're invited for the GDPI, I'm not sure if the format is still the same, but in fact, during the GDPI sessions also, these things are very important, because this is essentially what you're marked on, how confident you are, what your personality is like, how much you're able to speak in a GD when there are 10 other people who are perhaps as capable as you. So
you remember that time, by the way?
Yeah, that was actually very, very interesting and a lot of fun. So we used to have GD sessions like every day for 2-3 hours, and we had a huge list of topics that Ankita and the Pratham team had put together. And it was actually so exciting. And honestly, a lot of my friends who got through to the GDPI stage for the Sukhdev entrance had the same topics in the GD that we had been practicing on in the practice sessions at Pratham. So that was actually.
You remember the interview sessions with me, Yashna?
Yeah, Ankita really tries to make people cry, but you need to realize that he's actually not so scary. So that's all just pretense.
Yeah, but did you cry or did you not?
No, I don't cry.
Okay, great. There is another question, Yashna. Punya asks, is law all about rote learning?
It's not. It's actually quite the opposite. So that's what I was talking about earlier, that in school we learn that you should not kill people, right? Or that you should not do X. But as a lawyer, you learn to understand why that is so. Because tomorrow you can be standing in court saying that this rule itself is wrong and trying to convince the judges that this rule itself should be changed. So it is certainly not about rote learning. It's all about asking why and going back to the
So,
ground. That's when you reach a
so
basic point
Yashna,
where you can't
so
answer.
a basic simplified question मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, क्या सारे sections दफाएं याद tips पे होनी चाहिए lawyers के, हाँ या ना?
नहीं.
You have Google and other facilities available for it, right?
Yes, you do. And when you start practicing whatever area you're dealing with, or even if you're working on one case, the central sections for that case you will end up remembering, because you will read them so many times it will actually be at the back of your hand.
Yeah.
So you don't actually need to maru ratta of some thousand sections.
Thank God. So there is no rote learning. Punya, please note it. There is no rote learning in law. Okay. What was your strategy for CLAT, Alina Khan?
Right. The subject that I thought that I was weak in was GK, because I was not a very frequent reader of newspapers. So during at least like the 2 weeks before CLAT, I worked really hard on it. So we had a lot of binders that the Pratham team had given us. So we looked at that, and there were obviously, so there's static GK and there's current GK. So for static GK, I think we had Alok sir back then, who had a lot of very good mnemonic devices to remember historical facts. And for GK, for current awareness, Pratham team had put together a very, very useful binder that if you actually read 3-4 times, you'd be able to retain most of it. The good thing about CLAT is that it's a multiple choice question, right? So if you're asked a question, you don't need to know it immediately. If you read the options, the answer may come to you if you've already read about the issue before.
Right. So how did you manage boards and entrance at the same time?
So I actually did a crash course. So my boards ended on like 23rd March, and the next day the coaching had begun. But I mean, it's obviously a very, very competitive exam. And I mean, I would say that it's important to at least take the 1-year training, if not the 2-year training.
I'm sure your batch, a lot of people of your batch would have done, like you said, they had dropped a year and come as well.
Yeah, pretty much almost everybody had done at least 1 year, if not more, of CLAT coaching.
And you had done it in 45 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So any tips for current affairs and quantitative aptitude?
Yeah, for current affairs, if you are preparing right now, so I actually didn't plan on giving entrances, which is why I did not bother to read the newspapers when I was in 12th grade. If you are planning to give it in the coming times, start reading. Even if you start now, there's still quite a bit of time. You can read up, you can catch up. It's really not hard. For quant, I would say again, you really need to practice. So when you go to class, already do all of the questions so that you come out at the top of your class. And then you can bug Ankit sir to give you more questions and he does it till your concepts are clear.
Yashna, so this year the entire crash course has been online, right?
Right.
And it's stretched beyond anybody's imagination. It's going to stretch for another 2 months, right? So on 12th of July, we had clocked 700 hours of teaching with the kids.
Wow.
So, and we are probably preparing for another 200 hours more, right? So it's a never-ending case, and I don't know how long. And trust me, we are every single day except a Sunday. Everyone has 6 hours of classes, so we have that much material for them.
Wow, that's great. Because I mean, in our time, we used to have 2 hours of classes every day, and then me and my friends used to stay back. So our classes
4 hours hoti thi. Ashna, tab bhi 4 hours hoti. 2 hours of each subject.
Okay, yeah, my bad, sorry. So 7 to 11 we had classes in the morning, and then we used to stay back pretty much the whole day till 8 or 9 and study at the center. And that's really helpful because actually right when you have a doubt, you can reach out to the faculty and get it cleared. Because, of course, you can mark it and ask later, but in that, a lot of things tend to get lost and you actually forget what your
So
main doubt
we
was.
had built a at Kailash Colony. We had built a this year for the first time. We had actually built a test center and a studying hall where for exactly this that you're saying,
Yeah.
right? Thank you. By God's grace, our batches are full at Kailash Colony, so the kids don't have space to study. So we had actually taken a space specifically for kids to study through the day whenever they want, and they had a faculty at their disposal. But unfortunately, we couldn't execute it because everything was online. Okay, so Sweekriti asks, if I start working today, will I be able to crack CLAT? Yeah, still 2 months away.
Yeah, of course. I also studied for much less than 2 months. If you
All
can.
right. How placements go in law?
So most of the top few colleges have something called a 0 day. So 0 day happens towards the end of fourth year when law firms come down to your campus and interview people from your batch to select candidates. Some people manage to get a job before day zero through a private placement offer. So during your law school career, you would be interning at different places. So usually firms, especially the tier one firms give you an offer much before, few months before day zero actually comes. And so you can either get a job through private placement. If you don't get a job through private placement, which is assessment based on your internship, there will be campus placement where firms come to your college and conduct it.
So you were day zero, Yashna,
I had
before that? Wow, kya baat hai, very good. True to your caliber.
I had actually
I hope the package was worthwhile, right?
Yeah, decent.
We will not talk about it. Was obviously one of the higher ones, I'm assuming. Amachan Mangaldas generally pays a lot. Am I correct in that assumption?
So, I mean, all tier one firms usually pay at par.
So yeah. What is that range, if I were to ask? That was 3 years ago for you.
Yeah. So I think most people get paid between 14 to 15 lakhs an annum.
Per annum.
And I mean, this is different from, say, if you were a management graduate, because there what you would get is a CTC. So even if your CTC is 15, in hand you would probably get about 10. But for lawyers, there's no concept of a CTC. We directly get all of that money in hand.
So divided by 12.
Yeah.
Money divided by 12. Awesome. Super. बहुत बढ़िया. Chirag. बहुत बढ़िया. Okay, so can you tell me a difference between, so a lot of kids are asking this question, can you tell me a difference between BA LLB and BBA LLB?
Yeah. So BA LLB, the courses that you study for the first 2 years are humanities courses. So we had sociology, history, economics, political science. Whereas for BBA LLB, you would have more commerce-centric courses. So perhaps something like business studies or business environment, some sort of accountancy perhaps. So the essential difference is basically what you would study in a normal BCom or a BBA course is what they try to put together into a 2-year program during the first 2 years.
So Yashna, is there a difference in the placement of BA LLB or versus BBA LLB, or they're pretty much similar? Because NLSIU Bangalore only offers BA LLB, right?
Yeah, so we only have BA LLB. Even I think Nalsar and NUJS also only have BA LLB. NLU Jodhpur has a BBA program. I don't think the placements are particularly different for the two. I don't think so, but I don't know exactly because I'm not from NLU Jodhpur, but I don't think there's much of a difference.
Right. So another very important question. What would you say to a girl child regarding law as a career, Yashna? It's a question that has kept coming since the time I've got into this profession, and it still comes till today. So what would you tell a parent as well as a girl about law as a profession?
So very honestly, irrespective of whichever field you're in, your hours in today's world are going to be bad. My sister is a management consultant and her hours are as bad as mine, if not worse. So if the hours are something that you're worried about, it's really not very different. If it's the notion or the safety bit of safety angle of the issue, I again don't think there's anything for you to worry about. See, I mean, I haven't been to very very small courts in far off localities, which where I understand that there may be some difficulty in women being heard. I mean, and that is a problem which I have heard about, though I have not personally experienced it. But if you're working in a city, then it's not a problem, especially if you're in a city like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Calcutta, Chennai. I mean, it's really not an issue in terms of safety, in terms of accessibility, in terms of credibility. It's really not an issue. And I mean, if think about it, no, if you think that it's a problem that there are perhaps not enough women or women are not heard enough, how do you change that? The only way to change that is to bring more women into the field, right? So it's not something that you need to worry about. In fact, there are so many female lawyers in the country now. Even
What
in
was
my
your batch breakup, Yashna? What was
yeah,
your
in
batch
my
breakup?
batch it was almost equal. It was, I think, 41-39. So and in the batch junior to me, I think they had more girls. They had 60% girls and 40% boys, if I remember correctly. So the demographic, of course, is changing and changing in a good way. So law is definitely a very very good career,
So
and
it's not like Jolly LLB2, no?
no, no, don't rely on movies, by the way, to
They
understand.
only show one aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
So Harjas Gulati asks you a question. Do you think IPR law requires a good science background or a commerce student can do it?
A commerce student can definitely do it. So IPR itself has three facets: trademark, copyright, and patents. So if you're doing patents, then it's a good idea to have a science background, because their work does involve a lot of analysis into the various formulas and the technical things that are there in a patent. Of course, even then it's not essential, but it obviously makes your life much easier if you do have a science background.
Right.
For trademark and copyright law, you don't.
Okay. So was your 5 years of law only about books, or what kind of extracurricular activities are available in a law school? But because the perception that kids have is law पढ़ने जा रहे हो, वैसी वो मोटी-मोटी किताबें होती हैं हर law firm के अंदर, हर lawyer के अंदर, चाहे वो सिर्फ covers हो, अंदर कुछ ना हो. I've actually met a lawyer who said, these are only covers, they're just for display.
No, so it's actually not like that. So I did almost, I mean, except sports, I did every single extracurricular.
Sports भी होती है, नहीं होती हैं?
होती है होती है. So in fact, our college has Spiritus, which is the law school sports fest, where all law colleges from India come together to compete for many sports. We also have a triathlon between NALSA, NUJS, and NLS. We have a football series between the top few colleges. So there are lots of sports events. We also have Strawberry Fields, which is a rock fest that we host every year.
Wow.
We also have a cultural week where we do absolutely
was
crazy.
I Am Bangalore also invited for all your events?
No, so most of these events all the sports events are law school events, so they're inter law school competitions. But Strawberry Fields is open to everybody, so people from all colleges, even random people, are more than welcome to come.
So Uday Anand asks you a question: is doing company secretary course a good idea while doing BA/LLB? Are there any benefits of doing company secretary course for a law student?
It depends actually where you see your career. So if you are a company secretary, then of course then you're leaning towards a secretarial practice and not towards advocacy. If you don't, so I mean, of course it's basically like a fallback option. So if your law career is not heading where you wanted to, or if you're not enjoying it, company secretary is something that you can of course do. But CS exams are also quite a lot of work. They do require.
But is it also a fact that if you're a law student or you've completed law and then you end up doing company secretaryship, some papers do get exempted?
I am not sure about that because I have not looked into it honestly. But as far as I know, the subjects are not very different. The CS course also has some subjects which are similar to law, because company law compliance is what you learn in as a CS. As a company secretary, and you will also be studying company law, contract law, all of these commercial legislations in your law school. So for those courses, you will have pretty much the same material.
Right. So Disha Arora asks you another question. can you please tell your schedule why you were preparing for the CLAT entrance?
Yeah, so we used to have classes from 7 to 11, and then I would stay back at the center and prepare till 8 or 9 in the night. And I did this for, I mean, 1.5 months roughly. And I mean, what's important is to cover as much as you can and to practice as much as you can. So apart from the material that we had from Pratham, Pratham also had a lot of other reference books that we could rely on and practice from. So the LexisNexis guide is something that I used to study from at Pratham in addition to the material, and that was also very helpful. So access to these books by various publishers of course helps, because CLAT questions are also usually picked up from one of these books.
Absolutely. So pretty much 12 hours a day, right?
Definitely.
With breaks in the middle. Like group study always helped, right?
It depends on your group, I'd say.
You remember your groupies?
Yeah, we actually meet up still quite often.
Really?
Yeah, I met them in December last. So
at Kailash Colony Market?
At Epicuria in Nehru Place, not too far.
So Arya Kulshrestha asks, I have heard jurisprudence is quite a difficult subject. Is it so?
No, I don't think it's difficult at all. It's actually very, very enlightening. Because that's the thing, right? If you think that you have to mug up 20 pages of something, it's going to be very boring. But what you need to understand is that you're not mugging it up. You're actually trying to understand why you got to that conclusion, which took you 20 pages to explain. Like, I'll give you a very simple example, right? So until very recently, homosexuality was criminalized in India under Section 377 of the IPC. And just about a year and a half ago, the Supreme Court read down that section to say that homosexual acts between consenting adults would not be criminalized. Right now, what is the legal reasoning behind this? So if you think about it, so a very basic principle in jurisprudence is the HLA Hart's harm principle, which says that if someone is doing something that doesn't harm a third party in a tangible sense, then you should let them do it. So for example, if there are two people who are homosexual, a third party may have a problem with it because they think it's against their religion or against their social or moral values. But them doing it tangibly doesn't harm the third party, right? So that's where the basis comes from. This is jurisprudence. You understand law, you understand what makes the law, what makes the first principles, what sets the foundation for any law.
Great. So what is strategy for IELTS 2020?
So for IELTS as well, at least in my time, we had verbal reasoning, logical reasoning, legal reasoning, which seems to have changed at least for CLAT this year, and quantitative aptitude. So the papers in my time, I mean, in terms of content, were not particularly different. CLAT and AILET. The only difference was that the AILET paper in my year had a lot of science-heavy questions, whereas the CLAT paper didn't, and it had more humanities-centered questions. So again, the only way to make sure that you're going to do well is to practice away.
Perfect, awesome. Simi Thakur asks, what is a better option? Integrated 5-year course or an LLB post your graduation?
An integrated course. In fact, there have been discussions about doing away with the 3-year course altogether. And because if you know that you want to do law, then it's a good idea to have an integrated course, because the colleges are set up in such a way that even the other courses that you're studying, be it humanities courses or BBA courses, they are taught in such a way that they tell you the link to the law, or there is an understanding of why this is important for your legal.
So Yashna, moving away from the questions that the kids are asking, how was it when you actually faced an actual courtroom for the first time in your life? How did you feel like that time? Did you have goosebumps? And who was your judge at that time, if you remember?
So it was very exciting. I mean, so in terms of arguing myself, I would say, actually, I can't remember who was the first judge, but initially for the first 6 months, I used to keep a track of all the orders where I had appeared and my name was coming in. And yeah, I think the first time that I started appearing alone was in the Patiala House District Court. and we were doing a matter regarding a recovery of about 2 crores, and I ultimately managed to get arrest orders in that case. And I was actually so excited, I can't tell you, but it's really exciting. It's obviously really scary, but before you actually get to speak on your own, you would have seen your seniors and your teammates doing it. So
And you
that's
would have had
the
enough
easiest way to do it.
internships every day. You've seen the live court happening yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, so in the internships, mostly you won't get to go to court. You will be in office, but once you start working in a firm, it obviously. I mean, so
Once,
the good thing about the bigger firms, at least, is that they have a rotation policy. So for 6 months, you'll be in one practice area, and then 6 months another. So, for example, I did my first sitting in dispute resolution, and for the second half of the year, I was in general corporate. So you get to experience both sides of the coin and make an informed decision about whether you want to be a transactional lawyer or a dispute resolution.
right. So Anshika asks you a question. I want to appear for UPSC with law as an optional. Is it a wise decision?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of your batchmates would have appeared for UPSC, if I'm not mistaken.
A few, but there are quite a few alumni from my college who are, in IFS, IRS, IAS. So law definitely does complement you in being part of the administrative services, and I think it's a good idea to give the UPSC with law as one of the subjects.
Right. So the law course actually helps, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because even with UPSC, a lot of the core structure remains the same as your entrances, and like GK, for instance, is a running theme throughout. So it certainly does help.
So Srishti asks you how to get 99% in boards like you did and also get into NLS Bangalore. You have to have genes like Yashna. That's an
answer. I would say that just work hard. There is really no shortcut, especially with the boards. Apart from languages, the other papers are very. I mean, I would say they're quite straightforward, because CBSE is more centered on rote learning than about analysis. So if you've actually learned all that there is to learn, there's not too much scope for going
wrong. Akshat asks, what would you prefer, BA LLB or BB LLB for corporate law?
I would say that I would prefer BA LLB because I am practicing corporate law. I had commerce in 12th, so that did of course help a bit when I was studying corporate law in college. But you will not understand the relevance of a political science course when you're in college. But when you're actually practicing the law, there are so many things that you relate back to your humanities courses in college, which actually help you to understand how the law is functioning as a whole. So I think humanities does give a very good background to become.
Neha Dhaya asks, should mocks be treated as a reflection of our final exam or just as a stepping stone to improve ourselves and analyze?
No, it's just analysis, time management, and to have a check on your preparation. It is not at all reflective of your ability, of course, because everyone is competing in a different sphere. The question, a particular mock may be harder or easier for a particular reason, So you shouldn't, if you get a bad rank in your mocks, you shouldn't get disheartened by it. And if you get a good rank, you shouldn't become overconfident by it, because that's not necessarily reflective of your credentials. But
Neha Goyal asks you, is it necessary to continue your studies further after you become a lawyer?
It's
LLM
not.
karna zaruri hai kya?
It's really not, especially if you want to continue working in India. You really don't require a master's. But of course, the exposure that you get abroad is very good and would definitely be useful in terms of you growing up as a person, not in terms of the subject matter perhaps as much.
How are law school exams different from the exams that a student gives till 12th?
So law school exams are more application based. So, from the description of the legal reason questions that I've heard from Ankit sir, it is quite similar to that. So you will not be given the rule. You would have been taught the rule in class. You would be given a set of facts, and then you have to answer questions based on that in most subjects. So it is very application based as opposed to the school exams where it's more about, writing what you've already written.
Is there any scope of Is there any scope for entrepreneurship after law?
Yes. So It could be entrepreneurship as a lawyer, that's you setting up your own firm or your own practice, or doing something absolutely different. So in fact, there are so many people I know who are lawyers. In fact, a few of my college seniors who are doing absolutely random things like organic farming, fashion designing, business. Like really, you can do anything under the sun. And the thing is that law is something that you will interact with in any sphere of life as an adult. So no matter what you do, your legal degree will definitely help.
Yeah. So, Yashna, how many kids from your batch actually are not doing are doing litigation? Are doing litigation? What percentage of your batch would be doing litigation? Pure litigation and not through a law firm on their own.
So I mean, no one my age would really be working on their own. They would be working as juniors to other councils. So in my batch of, I mean, we started out as 80. By the time we graduated, I think only about 60-65 people who
बाकी
were
सब fail हो गए
originally
थे.
there. Some people left. Some people were left behind. Um, so I would say not too many actually. Out of say 60-65, about 10-15 would be doing law. Would
What
litigate.
about judiciary after BLLB? Lawyer, being a lawyer or being a judge? That's a good
I
question.
think that's a very good avenue, and so it depends on what stage of the judiciary you want to go in, whether you want to go in the lower judiciary or in the higher judiciary, or become a high court judge or a supreme court judge. So if you want to go to in the district courts are again bifurcated into two, and there are exams based on the number of years of experience that you have that you can give. And of course, being a judge is a great sense of responsibility and a very important job.
You intend on becoming a judge in the future?
I hope so. I hope to be on the other side of the bench someday.
अरे क्या बात है, बहुत ही बढ़िया. So we'll end up knowing a judge as well. बहुत ही बढ़िया. Thank you very much.
देखते हैं क्या होता है.
Okay. Is it more difficult to crack IELTS than CLAT?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. The only difference there is that in IELTS, there's only one college and only the number of seats that are there in NLU Delhi, whereas in CLAT, there are many more colleges. So if you were to compare getting into NLU Delhi versus NLS Bangalore, of course, Bangalore would be harder in terms of just the proportions. But if you look at CLAT as a whole, all of the colleges combined would have around 1,500 seats. Whereas NLU
Now
Delhi
it's
would have
increased to 2,600.
okay. So of course, if you then
Do you go back to your law school, alumni meets and stuff like that,
not
and as well as your school?
I go for judging moods and different competitions in college. We only have a 10-year reunion officially there, and we often have city-wise meetups for alumni.
How to figure out your area of specialization if you haven't yet? Do internships help?
Definitely, that's the only way to figure it out, because otherwise you will not know the difference between the two. So which is why I was talking about the rotation program earlier, because that really helps you in getting hands-on experience into what it's like into being different types of lawyers.
Right. So I'm getting really good questions, Yashna. I think thank you for coming on the webisode, because these are questions that people have in their head and you are answering them live, which definitely is a big thumbs up. So thank you once again. Right. What opportunity does an Indian law graduate have abroad?
Right. So most of the common law countries, that's countries that were Commonwealth. So the countries that were under the Commonwealth follow a common law system. So UK judgments, for instance, have persuasive value in the world. Basically, there are two types of systems: common law and civil law. So all the countries that were under colonial regime are common law countries, whereas countries such as France, Germany, they are civil law countries. So transitioning to any other common law country is not very hard. You just so for example, in the UK, you can take the QLTS, which is a qualifying law test, where you have to study for a little bit and then just write the exam. They also have a legal practice course, which you can use to convert your Indian degree to a degree that entitles you to practice in the UK. Similarly, there are exams that you can give in Canada, Singapore, New Zealand. So it's not very, even in the US, it's not
right. Acha, a question hai Archit ka. I want to do law, but my interest is in studies is very less. Should you advise that person to give law then?
So law is not just about intellect. It's also got a lot to do with presence of mind, with application of mind. So if even if you don't want to study too much, but you think you're good at being a quick thinker, being quick on your feet, then it's definitely a good career option to consider.
Right. Punya asks, class 12 marks really matters once you get into a good institute?
No, not at all.
How many? Okay, you are a brilliant child, right? Can you please tell the audience that is watching this, how many kids in your batchmates or senior or junior had a 70 or a 60 or a 80% in their boards? ऐसे थे लोग?
Very honestly, I don't even know, because no one cared enough to ask these questions to each other.
Once you are there, right?
It doesn't matter. Honestly, so the thing is, only till you enter the college, your school marks matter. And only till you enter your job, your college matters. Beyond that, then, you know, the more you grow up, the less the things that happen in your life.
But you will always be an NLSIU Bangalore grad, right? So that is, nobody's going to take, because even in other job interviews, Yashna, they will definitely give a preference to an NLSIU Bangalore guy vis-a-vis a local law school, right? So that tag that you have, right? That tag that you have is not going to go away from you till the time you don't stop working, right?
So it depends, right? So if there's someone who's working at the same office as me, who perhaps has almost the same experience, then someone may, when that initial factor is balanced, someone may then look at the next step, which is the college. But if, say, in terms of experience, I was working somewhere which is perhaps not so well known or not that highly regarded, then someone who's worked at a much better, highly regarded place would perhaps get a preference. So I don't think that that's something you should get disheartened with. Also, you should never let an institution define, or your marks define, who you are. Because honestly, in my experience, I found that anyone who seeks to get legitimacy from the college that they're from are people who didn't do anything in the college in the first place, because you've not grown as a person and you don't have anything to your credit.
Right. Okay. Did you ever plan to go abroad?
To start, so I did an exchange program in the last semester of my college. So I was in London for 6 months, and that was a great experience. I also keep considering whether I should do an LLM or not, because definitely it's a great exposure that I will gain from it. But tangibly, of course, I don't. If you want to especially litigate in India, I don't think it adds too much value to you as a lawyer. So, and of course, the costs associated are very high, especially if you want to go to the US to a college like Harvard or any other Ivy League college. So it's just a personal cost benefit analysis.
But does it help in your career per se? Is it that big a jump? Will you get that big a jump if you've done an LLM?
If you are working in India, then no, you wouldn't. The only thing it helps with is, of course, making contacts and building a network, because all good colleges and universities in India and abroad do have good alumni networks. So, for instance, if you weren't able to get through a very good law school in India, going to a good foreign college for LLM would give you access to a very good additional network that will give you additional opportunities.
Right. Okay. Can you talk about your time management with all subjects in your entrance?
During the exam. So the thing is, you need to, by the time you write your entrance, you would have figured out what are your strengths and your weaknesses. So I find it to be a good idea to get so for example, if you think that logical reasoning or verbal ability is your strength, get those questions out of the way. Because when you're starting, you're really fresh, right? And you are good at these questions. So you will be able to do them quicker and do them right, which is very important. And then the rest of the paper, focus on finishing whatever you can first. So once you've done the sections that you think you're good at, proceed to the other sections. In those sections, do whatever you are being able to do quickly. And then if there's a question that you don't know the answer to, circle it, come back to it later. Don't get stuck to it and waste too much time.
All right. So there is a question which basically is a fellow colleague of mine asked. Please ask Yashna, how did she prepare for maths sitting at home for CLAT? And how did she cope with the pressure and anxiety of writing an entrance exam?
So for preparing for maths,
Sorry, I'll butt in, because a lot of law students who are non-maths end up leaving those 20 questions or 10, 15 questions of math.
Honestly, the maths questions that come in CLAT are not very difficult. So even if you didn't have maths in 11th and 12th, it really doesn't matter. Your maths that you've learned till 8th or 10th standard is more than enough. So just pick up your even CBSE books and start reading, or pick up your Pratham guides and start reading. And that's really more than enough. Don't leave those questions, and really just don't be scared. There is really no reason to be scared.
Okay. If not law, Yashna, then what would you have done?
I would have either been a management consultant or a chartered accountant, because
now that your sister is doing consultancy, do you miss doing that because you had that option?
I don't, because her hours are quite bad and her office is really far.
Don't tell me that you're being a law firm person, your hours are not bad, right? My next question is, how is life at a law firm? Is it genuinely that bad? 15, 18 hours a day?
I mean, so it doesn't matter if you're at a law firm or not. Honestly, in today's world, every single area does have demanding hours. And even as a lawyer, even if you're not in a law firm, even if you're working as an individual counsel or with some other senior person, your hours will be bad. So, I mean, there's no reason to blame law firms for it, very honestly.
So how long is your day at a law firm typically?
So it honestly depends on your boss. So my erstwhile boss used to prefer working from the office. So we used to be there at least for 12 hours a day. But it depends on so my new boss is more, so she prefers to go home slightly earlier and then we resume work from home. So it all depends on what your, settlement is with your team and with your co-workers.
Okay. So Yuvika asks, Hardik says, can we choose law if we are from science stream? I believe the answer is yes. Yuvika Singh asks, ma'am, once you cleared the exam and went to Bangalore away from family, how was it like to face a fast real world which is full of competition? Was it scary, exciting? Did you face any difficulty?
So actually, for the first 1 year, 1.5 years, it's not scary because everyone in your college is going through the same experience. So the competition only starts towards the end of second year and in third year, and hits really high in fourth year, which is when people are competing for jobs. So for the time that you're actually settling in, being away from family, it's a decent environment to be in, and
everyone is facing that.
Sorry.
Everyone is facing that.
Yeah.
So सब एक ही बोट में है, सब एक ही जगह पे तैर रहे हैं, so कोई इतना ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है, सभी रो रहे होंगे घर में मम्मी कहाँ है?
No, and plus, so at least NLS, we have a lot of these families. So we have rank families. So everyone who's had the same rank as me in the previous years is my rank family. We have a roll family, so everyone the same roll number in all previous batches and everyone who lived in the same room in the hostel is one family. And these are all, and there are mentors. So these are basically just ways to build you in as a part of the fabric of the law school and to get you to interact with different people from different batches. So the student interaction across batches is very good, and seniors are very, very supportive. Even now, if you need anything, from a doctor recommendation to a jugaad anywhere, the alumni network is always helpful.
Awesome. Can we go abroad after law school through corporate firms?
Yes, you can.
So NLS had international placements as well?
So a few law firms, so the Magic Circle firms and one of the Silver Circle firms in the UK do come to India for recruitment. Usually they recruit 4 to 5 people from India. These people are usually from NLS, NALSA, LNU Delhi or NUJS. And then of course, NU Jodhpur also, I know someone who was recruited. But the problem is with Brexit, a lot of people who had in fact gotten a placement were not able to get through. How it works is that even if you get through for 2 years, you work as a trainee. So you, like Indian law firms have rotations, they also have six months rotation. So for the first 2 years, you work in 4 different practice areas, and you also have to simultaneously prepare for the conversion course in the UK, which would allow you to transition from a lawyer who's qualified in Indian law to a lawyer who's qualified to advise on English law.
Okay. Does graduating from a law school helps in heading to the UN, United Nations?
Yeah, I think so. It really does. The only problem is that in India, we don't have many highly regarded institutions for international relations. But if you have a good legal background, then getting into a well-reputed foreign institution which deals with international relations is good. And because UN, for almost all posts, requires a master's, so you will have to necessarily do an MA in international relations or an LLM in international law to get in. But it's definitely a good way to get through.
You plan to head there?
I actually was really interested in that in 4th year, but now I'm leaning more towards staying back in India.
Right. All right. So I have a question from my list. I've been asking all the questions that the kids have asked. If a student is confused between law and management, what advice would you give them?
So, see, ultimately, this is a very personal decision that you will have to make, and there is no one size fits all for everybody. So, you need to look at what excites you. If being in a performative role, for example, if you think that speaking or arguing in front of a judge is something that excites you, or if making legal arguments excites you, then go towards law. But if you're more interested in see, of course, with law there is a lot of bureaucratic formalities that come into the picture. If that's something that really puts you off and you're really more interested in finding practical solutions in a timely way and getting things done, then of course management is better suited for you.
All right. So Abhishek asks you, I love to study political science, but economics always go up from above my head, and I want to become a criminal lawyer. So is it important to study economics?
No, it's not.
Okay. And is it important to be a good speaker to pursue law?
So you have to be confident, certainly, but because there are so many lawyers and people from so many backgrounds and states, there are too many styles of speaking. So there is no one right style of speaking that identifies you as a lawyer. So you don't necessarily have to be a great orator.
ऐसे लोग थे याचना आपके बैच में जो who were not very confident in public speaking and then became, by the end of 5 years, were like, okay, bring it on, man.
So yeah, of course. So law school does help people in making that transition, but within law school, of course, we are comparing them to people who are their peers. We are not very adept at doing a comparison between a first year them versus a final year them, though of course there is a huge difference. So one of my classmates, he was an IDIA scholar. So IDIA is a program set up by an NLS Adam for giving CLAT coaching to people who are from underprivileged backgrounds. So one of my classmates had managed to get through CLAT as an IDIA scholar, and he was from Manipur, and he has now gone back to Manipur and set up a library there, and is really reaching so many lives. It's amazing. And perhaps if he had not come to a law school and had not gotten this sort of an exposure, he might have been doing something completely different.
Yashna, just from a personal request, as a company, Pratham would like to help by sending our course material to kids to help them crack CLAT. If you can get them in touch with us, we'll be more than happy to send some bunch and be in regular touch with them, right? So that's on that. Right. So another very interesting question. Is it necessary to have a family law background to become a lawyer?
Not at all. Okay. I don't think so. So a lot of people do seem to believe that it's required, but there is so much scope for building yourself up as a person. So, I work at a law firm. I'm not working in my family practice, and it doesn't have anything to do with it. And because I'm a lawyer from my mother's side, my surname is also not even the same. So people wouldn't even know that I'm related to them, right? Unless, they've met me somewhere or I tell them. So I don't think it makes a difference. If you're good at what you do, recognition will come.
This is by far the best question that is going to come your way. Arya Kulshrestha. She's come back. Arya has asked you another question. Any series or movies which inspired you to do law?
No, actually, I absolutely hate watching legal shows because I feel like I have too much of law in my life already. So, because even as a kid, my mom and my nana would always be talking about this case and that case. So I have not even watched Boston Legal or Suits. So I'm sorry, but no.
So none of that. So it's basically your mother and your grandfather actually were your influences, right?
Yeah.
What was your most difficult case as a lawyer?
Well, I'm hoping it's yet to come, but
Okay. Till now.
um, so I think the difference lies in when you're dealing with a person and their private lives versus when you're dealing with a company. When you're dealing with a person, right, and their say job or their liberty is at stake, that's when it you really understand the gravity of the situation, and matters that revolve around such issues, I think, what are really important. So one of my mates, for example, she had separated from her husband, and to get an Aadhaar card issued and an SC/ST certificate issued for her kids, they were demanding the father to sign the application, and getting her, making her able to get it on her own without her husband's involvement was something that I think was the best thing that I've done as a lawyer.
I'll come down to your NGO work also in some time, Yashna. So Saisha asks, I have no legal background. Will it be tougher for me to practice law as a profession as compared to the ones who belong to the same background?
See, it honestly, the things that people look at when they're recruiting someone are firstly their qualifications. So if you're coming with a good educational background, then you don't need to have a contact, right? Only if you are not able to meet the first threshold, then you would try to do some jugaad and get in. And this is the same across fields. It's not something that's specific.
Absolutely. 10% agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the jobs options available if you do specialization in international law?
So for international law, I mean, most opportunities are located abroad, but some of the international organizations are, of course, based in India as well, have an India office, such as Amnesty International, Greenpeace organization. All of them do have India offices or have people who work with them in India. There are, of course, you can also be teaching IL. You can write books. There is a lot of scope for academia in international law in India, especially, that's untapped. So that's a great option. You can be working with an NGO. You can be working as a consultant to something like the UN or the ICC. The foreign courts also have staff that they use. I mean, the term is secretary, but it's not. I mean, you're basically an assistant to the judges there, or a part of like the administrative setup there. So quite a few people who are interested in international law also work in international courts and tribunals.
All right. Is it necessary to have a good vocab for law?
I don't think so. So I mean, what's really important is being clear with your legal principles, and it's just important to know what you're talking about. Your vocabulary.
Is it necessary? Have you faced a situation where a judge has to, and you are good at English and very confident, where a judge has said, please, ma'am, can you talk in Hindi?
They will never say it, but you'll be able to make out their faces if they're not following.
Achha. Because you and has it been the other way around that the lawyer is talking in Hindi where the judge has said, can you please talk in English?
No, I don't think so, because mostly people who speak in Hindi are ones who aren't comfortable speaking in English. So judges are actually very considerate, so they wouldn't insist on a different language if you're not.
Right. I have an interest in both criminal as well as civil law. According to you, what is a good option?
I mean, both are good in their own ways. It depends on what interests you. So in criminal as well, there are a lot of different fields, right? So there's something starting from a very basic check bouncing case to a very intense murder charge, So it really depends on what you're keen in. Criminal law, of course, is a lot more interesting in terms of, you feel like there's too much action happening, but it, of course, comes with its stress, comes with its strict timelines. So it's really a personal choice. But if you want, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk about the differences between the two.
Perfect. Okay. Uh, Quick question. मैं भी पूछ लूँ ये सब. Shrishti says, Yashna, you inspire me to take up law. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Shrishti, I hope this webinar is fruitful. The basic reason for doing this is to get you guys to be inspired about this career called law, which has a lot of gray areas that we think, but very, very nicely put, succinctly put by Yashna. She's cleared all doubts, whether it's dangerous, whether it's whatever, whether there's too much bookish things and anything. But she's doing a stellar job. As Indian psychology, as part of Indian psychology, we try pushing ourselves in a career with great returns. So, what are your views on that?
So very honestly, lawyers in the country who are working as juniors to independent counsels very often don't get paid too much. Even after having 5 years or 5 or 6 years of graduate, I mean, first they might do a BA or something, and then an LLB, they still get paid very less, even as little as 5 to 10,000. In Bombay, in fact, a lot of senior counsels don't pay their juniors at all, because apparently the view there is that it's the reward is you getting to work with them. But I mean, it's not like that everywhere, and I really think that things are changing for the better and people are getting sensitized to these issues. But certainly, realistically, it would take a lot more years for this to transition entirely. But to counter all of this, I mean, the governments and the bar councils are trying to take steps to ensure that there is an insurance in place, there is a sort of support that you can fall back on if you were to face any issues.
Right. Himanshi says, are there really such cases in criminal law that sort of negatively influence you? This is something that demotivates me. What would you say to her?
See, of course, there are goods and bads in every single profession. And the thing is that if you give up, right, then things are never going to change. So if something really bothers you and if you think that what has been done is wrong, and I'm sure that every single lawyer has experienced this in their life, the only way to change it is to keep fighting. Because the second you give up, then that wrong thing is going to happen to everybody, and you don't want that. You have the power to stop that.
So, have you ever been scolded by a judge?
Not so far.
Not so far. I'm sure you will have a clean record on that.
I hope so.
Ever came to know about bribing cases to lawyers or bribing judges? These are questions that you should not be asking, Ashmit.
Yeah.
And I will, sorry for asking it actually. My bad. So Saisha asks an interesting question. What if you don't get a good NLU? Should we drop a year or go to a lower ranking NLU or a private college?
So I think it's a good idea to at least go to a private college or a lower ranking NLU and simultaneously prepare for CLAT. Because the thing is that, God forbid, even next year, if you're not able to get through, then you wasted 1 year. Absolutely. And you're nowhere, right? So at least have that fallback option in your hand and at the same time work at getting into it.
Do we study forensic science at law school?
In most of the colleges you don't, but I think ILS Pune has a course on forensic studies.
ILS Pune. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Kusum says, thank you so much, ma'am. Any opinion upon OP Jindal?
You mean the college?
Yeah, so, OP Jindal Law School.
So Jindal is actually doing quite well. They do have a very good faculty. They also have very good amenities. I have actually gone there quite a few times to judge their moot court competitions. So it's definitely a good avenue. So it's actually come up much better than a lot of the old, the lower ranking NLUs that have been around for much longer. Though of course the costs of studying there are much higher.
Right. Quick question. In the present situation, which is the COVID situation, what is the situation of lawyers in terms of jobs? Are the jobs secure, safe, everything on good?
So it actually honestly depends on where you are. So, of course, because courts are functioning only remotely and there's limited court functioning only for urgent matters, lawyers who've been doing litigation are finding it a bit hard to make their ends meet. So, yeah, so some people are definitely facing problems in that regard. People who are in firms or in companies are, of course, relatively more secure. But this is something that's not exclusive to lawyers alone, right? As I said about a couple of things earlier as well. I mean, of course, we're a part of the society. So things that happen in other fields also happen here. So even if you were, say, an engineer and you are out of a job right now, there are lawyers who are out of jobs right now. It's a huge change.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a conflict of interest?
Yeah, of course. So you notify your reporting partner if there is a conflict of interest. In fact, we have to sign a declaration every quarter if we have made any investments in any shares or anything. And so you don't work on anything where there is a conflict of interest. And there is, I mean, so within a firm setup, there are Chinese walls which are then built to ensure that you can't access anything that you are conflicted.
All right. Is there a good scope for human rights lawyers in India?
Definitely. And I think that's something that needs a lot of work right now, especially in the current scenario. The issue, of course, is that the monetary rewards in any sort of social causes are not too high. But there is definitely a lot of scope for recognition, scope for work that is to be done in the rights field.
Right. How do we do law with psychology? You pretty much taught psychology in law school, right?
No, NLS we don't learn psychology, but if you're practicing criminal law, especially, I think it's a good trait to develop. But as a lawyer, you will interact with so many people on a daily basis that it's something that you start developing as an intuition. So even if you've not learned it per se, it's something that goes hands in glove with your work.
Right. So, Yashna, would you call NLS IU Bangalore, or sorry, let me rephrase, NLU Delhi at par with NLS IU Bangalore in terms of placements?
In my batch, at least, it was marginally lower for NLU Delhi, but there's not much of a difference. NLU Delhi has honestly been doing very well. Hello.
Yeah, you're back. All right. Can you hear me now, loud and clear?
I can hear you.
Yeah, awesome. This is like exhausting. The questions don't seem to end.
Oh, it's been 1.5 hours. I didn't
Yeah,
realize this.
I am. So the questions they're not ending. How does NLU Bangalore help shaping law students? How is the curriculum, faculty, and facilities there?
So, I mean, at every law school, I think the student community plays a much bigger role than faculty, because most of the time you'll be interacting with your peers, and your interaction with your teachers would be limited to the class hours that you have every day. So, I think the student community is what really shapes the lives and personalities of the people at NLS.
Peer group. Yeah. Okay. So you would give a lot of credit to your peer group for learning how to moot and everything?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, as I was saying, the seniors in our college are very instrumental in passing knowledge down. You know how dadis and nannies would tell stories to their grandkids. That's how the law school system really works. But of course, the faculty is also very good. The administration, at least in my time, was very helpful. Was very approachable. And the facilities, we do have access to a lot of very good databases that unfortunately not all other law schools have.
Yeah.
So that's great. Our library is open. I mean, in my time, it was open till 3. I think now it's open 24/7. So
lawyer हो पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा ही भाई.
हाँ, पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा ही. I mean, but
So
the library is not just for studying, it's where everyone sort of hangs out. It's also your communal space.
you're supposed to maintain silence there, right? I mean,
it's okay. You as a lawyer ask why, right? So as long
okay,
as you're not
so
harming
now
another
all the
person.
compliments are coming your way, Yashna. Ma'am, Kusum says, ma'am, you really inspired me a lot. So kudos to you again. Mitarth says, thank you so much, Yashna ma'am, as well as to you, sir, for this session. This was really, really helpful. Another important question is, can we switch to litigation from corporate lawyer or vice versa?
Yes, you definitely can. In fact, one of my erstwhile teammates had been a corporate lawyer for 9 years, and then he switched over to litigation. And I mean, it works both ways, but it's perhaps easier to transition from corp to litigation than the other way around. Because the problem is when you transition, at least in the bigger firms, you lose out on years of experience, because the years of experience you had in another field would not be so relevant in what you're doing.
Okay.
But it's always possible.
Okay, it's always there. Okay, how important, now this is finally I'm getting to ask my questions, Yashna. So how important is mooting for a law student or even for a law aspirant?
So it's for an aspirant, I don't think it's
if they participate in a moot court competition, how interesting would that be, where you come to judge?
They could. It would be very interesting to see the kind
it will
of
not be not as good as what you see in a law school, but yeah, it should be a good fun experience.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun actually to see students.
Yeah.
students
so you were talking about mooting for law students.
Yeah. So of course it's not mandatory in most colleges, but it's a very, very rewarding experience. I really think I have learned everything that I have learned from mooting and other extracurriculars, and not so much from reading slides or reading things in class. So because that's the thing, right? When you're actually sitting with a problem and you're the one who has to figure out how to argue an issue, that's when your mind really starts to work. That's when you want to understand why this rule exists in the first place and what are the 10,000 ways in which it can be interpreted. I think it's a very, very rewarding experience.
Angela Khaduria says, thank you so much, ma'am, for an inspiring session. Muskan says, thank you so much, ma'am. All the very best for your upcoming journey. Kavya says, asks, without studying maths in 12th, can I opt for being a corporate lawyer? I think the answer is yes.
Definitely.
You don't have to answer.
Don't have to maths questions. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
What do you advise practicing law under a firm or individually?
It again depends on what field of law you want to work in and who you're working with actually. So even if it's a person working independently, their management style may actually be much better than some established places. So it's a really subjective question. There's no one right answer, but I think if you want to practice commercial or corporate law, it's a good idea to start with a firm, because the exposure that
Kunal says, ma'am, seeing you and your success, I feel so inspired and motivated. I hope one day I can do something worth being proud like ma'am did. So kudos again, Yashna, you continue to inspire people. Okay, now how have you been in the corporate world for almost now 3 years, Yashna, right?
Yeah.
How has that journey been?
It's been very very rewarding and very tiring at the same time. So I was fortunate enough to be part of very good teams where people were very nice and accommodative, and I've never really had a senior scold me or yell at me for anything, though I have seen some of my peers facing that issue in their work environments. So it's actually been a great journey. I've had times when I've been working with my colleagues till 7 in the morning, and then we'd be back at 9.
And then back to, probably going to the court at 9:30.
Yeah, so this was for an arbitration. So one of my seniors, in fact, he lives very close by. So he dropped me, poor thing, at 7:30. We'd come back, and then at 9 we'd get up again and go and rush for the hearing. So it is definitely quite tiresome. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of dedication that comes with it. But it's also certainly very rewarding. What's very important, basically, and this is the same everywhere, is to have faith in the people you're working with and to have a good relationship with them.
Right. Is there a connection between bookish legal knowledge and applying it in real life?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I don't think there is any such thing called bookish legal knowledge to begin with. I think that's a misnomer. Because you see those fat books in the lawyer's office, they are all collections of judgments that the Supreme Court or the High Court has passed. Now, even if you find one like legal principle that's useful in one of them, to make sure that the principle applies to your case, you will have to analyze and you will have to draw comparisons between your facts and the facts in that case.
So it's all bookish knowledge being converted, interpreted, and then applied to real life, right?
Yes.
Okay, there's a question. As a woman, do you get less salaries than your male colleagues, or
No.
Everyone has got the same?
No, there is no gender discrimination.
Thank you. Great. Can you get into judicial services or become a judge without practicing as a lawyer? Yes, you can. Directly you can apply. Up to 5 years के बाद apply कर सकते हैं ना? After Kunal says, ma'am, why is Indian legal system so laid back? We still have crores of cases in court.
See, what the problem is that now a lot of people want to focus on the number of cases, right? But it's not just important to dispose of matters, it's important to dispose them off properly, right? Giving a decision just for the heck of it and getting rid of the matter is not the solution. So you have to decide it properly. The way to do it is to have a better system in place. The reason that there is, a system that I think we should transition towards is a time-based system. Right now, what happens in most courts, for example, at least in the Delhi High Court, that your matter is fixed on a particular day. Now, in that day, from 10:30 in the morning till about 4 o'clock, the matter can be taken up at any time. You'll have to essentially be there pretty much the whole day. And even after waiting till 4, sometimes even till 6, your matter may not come. Whereas in UK, something that I saw was very great is that every matter was allotted a slot. So every matter would be given, say, half an hour, 45 minutes. And that basically ensures that if your matter is listed on that day and you've prepared for it, your matter will be heard. So I think that's the system we sort of need to transition towards.
Yeah. Okay, great. Can you tell us about the pros and cons of being a lawyer, Yashna?
Well, pros, I think that it's very, very empowering. You do have the capability and the capacity to change things for people and get real change for those who need the help. Cons would, of course, be that the hours are quite demanding, irrespective of wherever you're working. Even if you're working on your own or with an independent counsel, the hours are very, very demanding. And for some people, the pay is not much, and there's not much security.
So getting into a good law school is important, right?
So if you want to get into one of the top tier firms, then it becomes important, because if you're not from a great law school, then you would have to resort to the second way of getting in. So if you don't have the second way of getting in, that's jugaad, then succeeding on merit is important. But having said that, there are many people who are in very good law firms who are not from the traditional, top ranked NLU. So it's not like it's impossible. It's definitely doable, but it certainly, because people judge you by where you're from.
Okay, so Yuvika says, thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all our queries patiently. Session with you has cleared all my doubts and very, very helpful. Anam says, do you need good grades in law school or just practical knowledge would do?
It again depends. So if you want to apply for an LLM abroad to a high ranked college, or if you want to get into one of the very good firms, CGPA is something that everyone
does. Did you top the batch as well?
No, I don't. I mean, in NLS, not too much emphasis is given on grades, because we question and think about why grades are relevant, and we have
everything has to be why.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever done pro bono work?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Now, I will not ask any more questions that will be asked by the students. I have a couple of questions and I'm going to let you go, because it's been quite some time and you've been really, really patient and brilliant as usual. Tell me something about the NGO work that you're doing right now, because I keep reading that on your Facebook. It's inspiring, and to tell the kids how they can be of any help for your work.
So in view of the lockdown, a lot of people who are not from very affluential backgrounds have been facing a lot of difficulties. So there's a building that's getting constructed right opposite my house, and I used to see them sitting every day, and that's where it all started. I started distributing ration and cooked food to them. And ultimately, when the Shramik train started, there was really no way to figure out, how they would go back. So I started speaking to the IS officers, to their village heads, to try and work out how they can be helped. And ultimately, then their village head gave my number to everybody from her village, and then they gave it to everyone who was in their buildings from different states. And ultimately, that led to the creation of Sahara, which stands for Stranded Humans Relief and Assistance.
Can you
And
repeat it again, please?
Stranded Humans Relief and Assistance, Sahara.
Awesome.
Okay, so
Very nice name.
thank you. So we've been trying to do as much relief work as possible. So we've in fact raised money from our private networks, hired quite a few buses to take people back to Bihar and Bengal. We've booked train tickets for people who are stuck here. We've arranged for food. There was a group of bonded laborers, for example, who were stuck in Haryana just a couple of weeks ago, and we got information about them, and the DM had issued an order for them to be rescued, but the truck picked them up and dropped them off at a highway. So we raised money and we got a bus to pick them up from the highway and take them back to their homes in UP. So we've been doing a lot of this sort of relief
So
work.
how can anybody who's watching this webinar contribute to Sahara?
Yeah.
Is there a website or something that can be shared?
We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a Twitter account. The Insta page and the Twitter account are called Sahara for Help, and the Facebook page is called Stranded Humans Relief and Assistance Sahara. So you can just look us up. The next phase that we're looking to work on is a capacity building program, a livelihood building program, where I have managed to get in touch with the people who are willing to donate to people who have gone back to their villages and are finding it difficult to find jobs and to find employment. So we're going to try and make them empowered on their own. Perhaps help them set up a shop, make them make masks, manufacture pickles, things that they can sell, and basically become entrepreneurs in their own way.
Right. So guys, please do log on to the Facebook page, the Instagram page, as well as the Twitter account, and please help whichever way possible. I'm going to do for sure. The last and final set of questions, Yashna. What advice would you give to a CLAT aspirant right now with about 40 days to go?
So I'm sure you must be really nervous, especially given the COVID situation and CLAT getting pushed. Of course, it is a mind-boggling exercise, but don't worry. Whenever it happens, just be calm. If it keeps getting pushed, that's great. You're getting more time to prepare. Just don't be nervous. Don't panic. Don't worry about anything. If you're worried about getting a job, getting into a good college, money, nothing. Right now, you just need to focus on your preparation. In fact, I was taking a crash course. I was teaching legal reasoning at one of the batches at Pratham 2 years ago, when the CLAT pattern hadn't changed so much. So one of the students that I was teaching was in fact very worried about, she was very smart, but she was scared that if I get into a good law school, the fees are very high. And I don't know if my family can afford to pay. And these are things that US kids right now don't need to worry about. So if anyone out there is again thinking about these things, please don't. All law schools have good scholarship programs in place. So just focus on getting there. And how do you get there? Practice and work hard. And there's really no shortcut, and nothing else matters. Doesn't matter if you had maths, doesn't matter if you read newspapers all your life or you haven't, it doesn't matter.
Just work hard for these 40-45 days. If you've not started till now, today is a good day to start. They'll probably, all of these kids are going to get in touch with you on your Facebook, Insta, and whatever, and help them whichever way you can. Yashna, I'm sure we'll call you back whenever the classroom sessions are back, and we'll help get you back into the classroom soon. Last but not the least, how can we thank you as Pratham for being such a brilliant student for us, the brilliant human being that you are? How can we thank you enough? If you can suggest a way, that would be great.
I would say just keep doing what you're doing. And I honestly really appreciate the amount of attention that was given to everyone in my batch, as students. And that's a thing that I think really sets aside Pratham from some of the other institutes, because it's not just about the mechanics of it. There is a lot of individual effort that's put into every student, and I'm really thankful to you for it. And I'm sure you'll keep doing it for
Your
all the
sister also benefited from it. Just for your information, Yashna, what we did because of this online issue that we had, we couldn't meet the students face to face. So what we did was we organized something called a mentorship meet, right? Wherein we put a condition that anybody who's given minimum of 5 mocks can book a one-to-one slot with the faculty and discuss how to move forward, right? Till now we've got about 1,000, but a lot of kids are not coming up to meet the faculty. They're sitting pretty at home. But through this methodology, again, I'm asking if you guys are given minimum of 5 mocks, get yourself a mentorship slot, come and meet us so that we can help you whichever way you can. Thank you, Yashna, for being a very, very patient person that you are. I think law teaches you to be very, very patient as well. Thank you so much. And what next for Yashna?
Well, I mean, right
LLM, promotion, marriage.
I mean, let's see. In usual course, I would have been promoted next year, but let's see how COVID impacts that. LLM, I mean, I don't know. I keep toying with the idea, but I mean, I still haven't made up my mind on it.
Right. So thank you so much, Yashna, for doing this for us. I hope the kids have benefited from it, and I hope it made you feel good about law as a career and being an NLU pass out, and in some way, whichever little way we could help, Pratham is also part of it.
Huge way.
Right. Chalo, take care. Thank you very much. God bless you. All the very best. Thank you very much, Yashna.
And you're in good hands with Pratham, just to, expressly tell you. I mean, really, they do really care about the students, and I'm glad that you're at the right place.
So thank you, Yashna. Shukriya. Bahut shukriya. I hope, wish and pray that you do exceedingly well in life. You keep making your parents proud, keep making yourself proud, and we are always very, very proud of you, Yashna. You are a God-sent gift.
Thank you.
So stay the same, keep that smile up, and keep helping people. Thank you, Yashna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
You can leave the webinar whenever you want. Okay. Thank you, Bacha.
Thank you. Take care.